Hi, this week we will be going over the first half of Chapter 8. I decided to split Chapter into two parts, so this week we'll be working on pages 490 to 517. This chapter focuses on privacy issues and information rights, dealing with the web, what businesses have to deal with, and what we have to deal with as individually. The first thing I would like you to do is to watch an Dateline video that's called Online Privacy. It issued on it's actually on TV on March 24th. And one of my students brought this to me in my face-to-face classes last spring, and we took an opportunity to watch it. And they all really enjoyed it and thought that they learned something from it. So I want you guys to start out this chapter by watching it also. The link is in my lessons. It's also in under web links underneath course materials. And you will find when you click on the link, it takes you to the whole episode of the show. If for some reason the online privacy does not pop up right away, on the right hand or left hand side of your screen, you will see that it has like certain segments, and this, like the third one down, will be Online Privacy Part 1, and then there's an Online Privacy Part 2. Each of them are about 7 minutes, so it's about 14 minutes of the show, but it just kind of talks about how some of these people have kind of went through and what they could find out on the web, and as we know, there's just a lot of stuff out there, but we just need to be aware of what is out there. And also, it's just kind of interesting finding out what some of the people have gone through that had some things hacked in because of online privacy, or just things that happened because of it. It was kind of interesting to watch, so I hope you enjoy it. As we go through this chapter, you're going to notice that it really focuses on the ways that e-commerce and the internet technologies have raised serious society issues. How all this information has come through, how things are on the web for a lot longer now, how things can be broken into, your records, your files, those kind of things. I really like something that, I'm on Facebook, and I really like something that's kind of come across a few times, a picture, and the picture says, I'm old enough that all the stupid stuff I did and when I was young is not online. And I think that's one thing we need to stress to our own kids, is that everything they do a lot of times ends up online, and that in some ways that is good, in some ways that can be bad, but e-commerce and just internet technologies in a whole have brought that whole new realm around. They're going to talk about some ethical issues, some social issues, and political issues, and the things that are going out there and happening, and what we're doing to kind of prevent some of that, and also to help people that are wronged in some way. The other thing you're going to notice is that, and it's going to be talked about a lot in the book, that successful business people really always try to do the right thing, even though sometimes it's more expensive, and can potentially, hurt or upset some people. It's still better than the negative stuff, because no matter what, that is still going to be expensive, and you're still going to have troubles with that also. Some of the key things I want you to look at is, like on table 8.1, it illustrates the virtues of e-commerce and how it also becomes ethically liable. Figure 1.8 identifies the major issues that are discussed in the chapter, and it illustrates the idea in 3 levels. It talks about individual, like ethical dilemmas we have individually, society choices, and laws and regulations. And one thing that I think we've talked about is quite often in this class is that our laws and regulations are having a hard time keeping up with what technology is doing. And that is definitely something that we're going to see as an ever-changing issue a lot as technology grows and expands. Something new comes up, okay, we don't know what the issues are yet, okay, now here are all these issues, how are we going to deal with them? A new law has to be written, or some type of regulation to be able to deal with that. In the past, we've always had that. I mean, from when there was cattle to cars, now it's just moving a lot faster. I think it'd be funny, and it is funny actually, some communities, like Mount Vernon, South Dakota, still has a law in the books that says you can't drive cars down Main Street because it scares the horses. Obviously, that is a law that is still in the books that is never used anymore, but that's also an example of how our laws have had to change because of things that have happened in society. And with the internet and technology, it's just happening more and more and faster and quicker, and those kind of things. We're also going to look at privacy and information rights. This section really talks about the threats of your privacy and then the efforts that are out there to address those threats. What are some of the laws, some of the new technologies you can deal with? You're going to notice that Table 8.2 provides a glimpse of what e-commerce sites collect directly from the consumer. And it is going to show what we call the PII, which is a personally identifiable information. They also talk about anonymous information and profiling. So you're going to be able to learn a little bit about those. Another thing I really want you to look at, it can be very overwhelming and you don't have to know it by all means, all the information, but I really want you to look at Table 8.5 and really kind of spend some time looking at that. That gives us our general privacy legislation, okay? And Table 8.6 also does that, and it also talks about how the Federal Trade Commission is working to deal with some of these privacy issues that we're going over, some of the fair information practices that are happening, you know, the information that is out there. Is it really open to public? You know, there's a lot of issues about online courses, like who owns them, things like that when you write them yourself. So that talks a little bit about those issues too. And I think you're going to also find it's pretty interesting. There's a section towards the end of the second section in this beginning, or towards the end of your reading for this part of it. It talks about the Europeans and what we call the European Economic Union, and how they have a stronger set of privacy laws than we do in the United States, and how they came across those and those kind of things. So it's just kind of interesting to kind of look at that and focus on that. So hopefully at the beginning of this chapter, again, there's a lot of information, but it's also stuff that I think we think about all the time. So to summarize all this, we have 3 assignments to do this week. The first assignment is a quiz over Chapter 7. And this time there's like about 23 questions, and they all deal with terms. So to really get a handle on what's going to be covered on the quiz and what you need to know, really look at Table 7.4, 7.6, and 7.9. Either they're going to give you examples and say this is an example of what kind of marketing strategy. It might be blog marketing, viral marketing, those kind of things. So if you know those things, then you will get through that quiz fine, and should be able to understand it. Because it might say, you know, what's an example of poll advertising? And so that's all kind of covered in those areas and those things. The other 2 assignments you have, one is called Basic Ethics, which has you look at section 1 of the chapter and just answer a few questions about it. I think there's only like 3 questions. One of them is for you to identify what ideas that you follow through with or that you believe in also, and explain why. And the other one is called Privacy Please. And what Privacy Please does is it has you look at what we call the privacy plans of each website. So they have you visit like Sears, Walmart, and another store, and they have you look at what they say their online privacy is. We also have you look at a general survey about privacy and what people are saying and businesses are saying about that, and then going into that part of it. So it's, again, just digging in a little bit deeper into some of those privacy issues that are out there and some of those basic ethical issues. Next week we will talk about a little bit more about the legislation, things like net neutrality, what does that mean, and then they talk a little bit about child safety and those issues. And that's another whole area that we could really get into, not necessarily with e-commerce, but just in general, the internet usage, and but we just kind of look at it more of an e-commerce way. So please email me if you have any questions. I will be back late July 1st into Mitchell, and we'll be around the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th. I know the 4th is a holiday, so obviously I hope you guys can get your work done before that so you can enjoy the 4th of July. You know, it's always hard with the 4th of July because it's like the summer is almost over then, which is kind of sad to think about. But anyway, I hope everyone has a fabulous week, and I will talk to you soon.